Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. We officially begin to wrap up our Look Back, a Look Inside series with the final 8 teams of the 2022 NFL Draft, or NFL Ranks, as it would be. Ironically enough, there are 3 non-playoff teams from basically the entire list of teams that were in the playoffs last year. Tennessee, Green Bay, Los Angeles, the Rams. We will discuss those 3 non-playoff teams and then 5 continued playoff teams, one of them of which I'm sure you will know is in the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks here. So we'll break all of that down. We'll look back and we'll probably also talk a little bit about the AFC and NFC championship. Let's get into it. Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I am your host, Joe Zolo. As always, Josh Ryan. Welcome, gentlemen.
Every week I'm reminded of how jealous I am of our viewers because I never get to watch our intro because I'm on Twitter tweeting the whole show out and everything, and it's just such a bomb intro.
Yeah. Feels really good to have a good team here. Well, all I have to say is
Joe over here patting himself on the back.
Yeah, hey. Yep. All I have to say is go Eagles, fuck the Chiefs. And I never thought I would say that. So I
know you two agree on that. I don't think I can root against my guy Kelsey, and I love Andy Reid. I think I'm going to be on the other side of the argument. I haven't dug into who I think is going to win or spread. I think the spread's only like a point, so it's basically a pick-em. So
it's pretty. Yeah,
it started as a pick-em.
Did it?
Yeah, that's what it started at.
Okay, to me that just feels a little surprising. So here's something.
You're talking about 2 really good offenses. Obviously, the defenses are very different.
Very different, and one's much better than the other one. And my 2 worries that I had going into this was Philly didn't look like, so they were aided once. So their full drive that did not aid by a penalty was the Devonta Smith catch, no catch. So again, looking into it in times that where it wasn't, 28-7 and the game was literally out of hand. On meaningful drives, Josh, I think you could probably agree with this. They were aided by a lot of just dumbheaded defensive penalties by San Francisco.
Yeah, I was talking, so I was shooting the shit with my boss, who's a 49ers fan, like throughout the beginning part of the game. And he's like, well, if y'all would stop calling penalties, and I text him back, stop committing them. Like, they're all pretty damn blatantly obvious.
They were all warranted. There was I wouldn't say there was one that was unwarranted. The Dre Greenlaw one feels like, okay, he's punching the ball, but he was way after the whistle.
Yeah.
But again,
that was towards the end of the game, though.
Yeah, but boneheaded, dumb plays that did aid the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, by that point in time, it was just frustrations getting the
100%. And my worry with the Eagles going in, I'm like, all right, their defense, again, the worry is, has their defense had a test the last 2 weeks? I feel like that's a fair question to ask. But then again, they've performed well all season, so I think that one can be null and void. The offense, though, didn't look as high-powered as it was. Hurts was missing some throws. The run game still looked fantastic. Well, again, he didn't need to. But in a game where he is going to need to, which again,
I agree.
That A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith should have 17 yards of separation against this secondary. There shouldn't even be a competition. So, and then also the Chiefs' run defense sucks. They didn't have a challenge last week. Joe Mixon's one of the worst. He was one of the least efficient running backs in the NFL. So
we touched on that on Monday.
Yeah, it worries me quite a bit about Joe Mixon for the future. I just don't know. At 26 years old, he looks cooked. So.
He does look cooked.
He's had a lot of carries over the first
years
of his career. Like, they have run him in.
It's a combo of bad offensive line play and also a lot of work. But Samaje Perine looks, again, more explosive than him. But I
also
think
a lot more rested, and that's kind of what backup running backs are supposed to look like.
But still, I mean, it's just Joe Mixon. He can't even read where to go at points and times. His vision.
You've touched on my fear for Philadelphia, is that if you look at Philly's schedule, if you count Dallas as an offense, Dallas might be the only offense they've faced since week 1 and week 2 when they played Detroit, Minnesota. Every other offense they've played this season, and you don't pick who's in front of you. Kudos to I'm not taking anything away from Philly. They have handled business. They haven't faced anything remotely close to this Kansas City offense. Now, obviously, you have a not 100% Kelsey, a not 100% Patrick Mahomes, no running game to speak of really over the last
no receivers
weeks, so.
At this point. They literally don't have a healthy receiver. And I think the thing you can say for Philly is now how the fact that they decided Ross Dwelly was the protector against Hassan Reddick is beyond me. Who the fuck made that up? Who made that game plan? But
someone rooting for the Eagles.
Jesus, Kyle Shanahan had the fucking money line and spread on the Eagles. Had his whole contract on it. But when you look at that, you could argue that the 49ers probably have a top 5 offensive line in the NFL. Yeah. And I would say there's not much competition there. You had 2 of the best offensive lines in the NFL going against each other right there. That's so fair. Philly's defensive line, which on paper was pretty inferior to that offensive line, in my opinion, held their own fantastically. Now, the scheme was fantastic that they put together. They also got Reddick out in the 8 and 9 spot. And again,
the game ended the second Brock Purdy was hurt. There's 100%. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. 100%. That game was over. So
100%. And again, that's the worries they haven't faced in offense. On the flip side, Kansas City. First, I believe that game was Cincinnati lost that game the moment Joe Burrow lost confidence in his offensive line, which was after the second drive. And immediately.
And that was I'm getting a small tag as like a Joe Burrow hater because I keep bringing that offense back down to reality. But you've kind of said better than what I've tried to say is Joe Burrow is subject to these weirdly bad games. And that's exactly it, Joe, is the second he knows his offensive line is cooked for the day, he plays like shit. And it's rough to watch.
Because he goes into hero ball mode.
Yep. But he didn't go into hero ball mode this last game. You could see he was not stepping into his throws.
41 passes.
He was not stepping into his throws. He looked very timid. He looked scared. Like if his first read wasn't there, he was scared. And also,
you can thank Chris Jones.
I was just gonna say I'm fucking scared of Chris. I've never played a snap of football since I was 18 years old. I'm terrified of Chris Jones right fucking now. I checked the hallway for Chris Jones.
Dude set a playoff record with hurries and combos, whole 9, dude.
And that's fantastic.
Force.
It's really going to suck when Chris Jones doesn't even get within spitting distance of Jalen Hurts this week. So what the thing with Cincy, I'm sorry, was 50-50 balls to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins only in the playbook for 2 plays? Because there was no one in that secondary that could cover. Like the 50-50 ball touchdown to T. Higgins, double coverage. It was literally like child's play. It was like 2 teenagers were covering him. And then Jamar Chase had no business catching that 4th down pass in double coverage. That was actually like decent coverage up until the point of Jamar Chase being Jamar Chase. So why were you not using them more? Why were they not being targeted more? I think that goes into offensive game plan. But again, I think Chiefs defense, solid game, but your secondary is not good. Your D-line bailed you out in that game.
I'm just going to throw one thing out, though. If this game comes to coaching, Kansas City wins. Plain and simple. So,
no, they don't.
No, they don't. Eagles fan here, former team that Andy Reid coached. Yeah, Andy Reid knows how to blunder a few Super Bowls. Just
Ryan.
A few playoff games. Yeah, seen it, done it.
10 minutes left in the first quarter.
Someone's been there before.
10 minutes left in the first quarter. He challenges a play where the ball is clearly dropped. Waste of timeout. He went into 10 minutes left in the second quarter with no timeouts left. His clock management still sucks in these big games. It's terrible.
We were literally saying the exact opposite thing in the other game, though, that they were trying to carry their timeouts to halftime instead of challenging. I would rather have a coach who risk it, obviously, bad play call, than one who doesn't because it fucking didn't help the other team. So,
no. The coaching, Nick Sirianni has the coaching right now.
No, he
sorry.
does not. No.
Sorry.
No.
Sorry. No, he does. He does. You want to know why Andy Reid won the Super Bowl with the Chiefs a few years ago? Is because Kyle
Mahomes.
fucking Shanahan was on the other side. That's why. Because Kyle Peanuts for Brain Shanahan was on the other side. Kyle, I'm going to put 2 tight ends on Hassan Reddick.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Fair.
What are we doing? What are we doing? Okay. Teams will cover today. Also, sorry, I see all these. Script is in for Super Bowl BK commercial in the middle. Rihanna's performance is allegedly Rihanna. I'm sorry, it is Rihanna. I have to get it is Rihanna. Hi Jay, Girth Brooks. Bengals are a bunch of jabronis. Apparently, you know what? I want to.
Kelce can cut himself a promo. That shit was fine. I'm not gonna lie.
I want to give praise to Jake Trowbridge for saying something nobody wants to say on Twitter. Travis Kelce is fucking annoying. And that's what he said. Kelce is annoying.
I missed that tweet from Jake. And if I hadn't, I would have told Jake he's annoying because Travis Kelce is amazing. In fact, I might go find that tweet right now.
Listen, I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it because I was like, okay, the trash talk. This is really funny. Travis, take your fucking trophy, shut your mouth, and go play the Super Bowl. Then rub it in everybody's faces. But go on your podcast and do that. Don't do that in fucking CBS. You're getting your trophy ceremony. Ugh. I don't know. I like how Mahomes handled himself.
Oh,
we are in that moment.
We are on the exact opposite. I hate everything. Oh, you said it. Never mind. I read too much into what you were saying. Everything Burrow did leading up to this game has annoyed me. So to see Kelce throw it back at him was just poetic justice for me.
I'm the one who says they kept saying shit that was like poking the bear. I'm like, don't poke the bear. Yep. You just, as a competitor, you know, especially if you're going up against a good team, don't poke the bear. If you're playing the 2008 Detroit Lions, okay, poke the bear. Yeah. But don't do that with Mahomes, Kelce, and Andy Reid. That's not something that you do. Because then what are they going to do? Oh, they think we're underdogs. We have to play with this mentality, and that it's just stupid. It's just stupid.
I love that we're doing this week when it's all we're going to talk about next week.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I feel bad for Joseph Asai. He had arguably the best game on the Bengals defense by far, and then he didn't even mean to do that. He was literally just falling out of bounds and ended up pushing Mahomes. I feel bad for the guy because he had the game of his career.
I said this on Monday. I don't need to see somebody's worst day of their life on national TV. I'm good on that.
It went from best to worst.
Yep.
Instantly. Okay. Buffalo Bills chokers. Player with the most fantasy upside. Josh James Cook. Psych. Ryan Jamison Crowder.
Oops.
Psych. Biggest trap. Gabe Davis. Yes. And Stefania Bell, obviously I can never be on a show with Stefania because I have things. So
yeah.
Stefania was here. I wasn't. There was one player on the team you have to leave your draft with. It's Josh Allen. Yep.
And this is the reason why I wanted to give her props on this, because most of us, especially here at Club Fantasy, outside of maybe Chris Molina, who wrote about him, we're kind of fading Josh Allen because we're very anti-pick quarterbacks early.
Yeah, advocated.
Allen was really the lone. I don't want to say lone exception, but I mean between him and Mahomes, you took your quarterback early, you were plenty fine.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Player most avoiding Gabe Davis. Yep. Players one injury away from fantasy relevance. OJ Howard. He was actually a cut away from fantasy relevance for 1 week
of fantasy relevance.
For 1 week. My biggest sleeper, it was technically Isaiah McKenzie because I said Jamison Crowder, but Isaiah McKenzie when Crowder gets hurt.
Yeah. So you were right.
Crystal ball shit. I feel like as a sleeper, McKenzie is kind of a win. I don't really know. It doesn't feel like a win.
In a deeper league where anyone would consider rostering Isaiah McKenzie, I had him in a huge league, and I felt good about playing him.
You felt good, right? Yeah. So I think that's there.
I was gonna say I think the only one I had him in was a 14-team league. So
yeah, that's
a
where
32 team.
Well,
okay,
fair.
yeah, that you would have Isaiah McKenzie in a 32 team league because
and I felt good about it.
So. Yeah, that's good. My ADP stash was Greg Rousseau. Really good year for him in sack heavy leagues. I know there was a lot of buzz when we talked about him on our IDP show. He had a fantastic season.
And he's one of those players that may have actually been better if Von Miller hadn't got hurt because there was pressure being taken off.
Would have been way better if Von Miller didn't get hurt. Are you kidding me? 100%. Biggest hit, Josh, you were 23 points off of Mr. Allen himself, had the 42 total touchdowns. Gabe Davis at 36. He finished 35. You're only 8 points off Devin Singletary.
Which felt weird because I was very off, on his overall stats. I think he finished RB 23. I had him at 26, but just between the splits, rushing, receiving, it was all out of whack. I'm all right, well, I'll take the points, I guess.
Ryan, you called McKenzie as the 3, only missed 5 fantasy points. Gave Josh Allen 5K total and 38 touchdowns, finished with 5K and 42. Only missed him by 4 of those, and basically perfect on Singletary, Knox, and close on James Cook. Biggest miss, Josh, you overprojected the Bills' run game by 65 attempts. Too high on the running back reception allocation. And Ryan, you bought into the Gabe Davis hype, you idiot. Gave him 20 too many receptions.
What's funny is
40 fantasy points.
I call him the trap.
You faded Gabe Davis.
Yeah, I called him the trap, but when I had to project things out, I clearly just gave him way too fucking much. So.
Yeah, I think I ended up giving him 10 or 11 too many targets, but the catch percentage, touchdowns were all pretty even. So
big game Gabe, as highlight analyst Tony Romo has coined him. You want to know the best thing that happened from this weekend is that people are finally realizing and memeing about how fucking bad Tony Romo is at announcing.
It's actually been happening for a little while, Joe. I know you don't,
but it's coming to it.
Joe's been on it from the get-go.
From the get-go, this motherfucker was a fraud. Jim! Dude, stop having an orgasm on national television and cast the fucking game. Dude calls one inside zone play perfectly for Derrick Henry, one of his 75 fucking rushing attempts that game. He calls it perfectly for a touchdown. Everyone's like, oh my God. Oh, he's so smart. And he's like, oh, on this play, you're going to go right over the middle. They run an outside toss. Nailed it, Tony. This is why you have 0 fucking Super Bowl appearances. Idiot, moron. God, he needs to be away. Jonathan Vilma. I don't know. Have John Madden do it from his grave. I really don't care who it is because Tony Romo's not the guy.
CBS is so locked into him though. They're paying him a ton.
They committed.
And now things are going to get really interesting with this Tom Brady retirement because Fox has already locked him up for 10 years.
Yep.
And the assumption is he's going to go to be the lead guy when Greg Olson's fucking slaying right now.
So good.
Yeah, I want to start. I want to start a GoFundMe to buy out Tony Romo's contract because I cannot watch him. I almost because you can tell Jim Nantz too is angry that he has to work with this man. He hears some of the things that Tony's saying and he's just like it's like what you say to a 5-year-old when they just spew nonsense. Otherwise, like, yep. And Jim's just like, Tony, shut the fuck up. You don't know you don't know what's happening. You know what you're talking about. I hate him. Tennessee Titans. Most fantasy upside. Josh, you have Treylon Burks. No?
Yeah,
No?
that's kind of why I put this with the games and points per game, total points and everything, because Ryan and I, we were both on the wide receivers. We just had different ones. While Treylon Burks played less games, he had a higher points per game and was trending in that direction. But again, injuries, comes into play. So
and Robert Woods, I think Robert Woods is an L. I think that's
an enormous L.
Yeah, complete. Yeah. Treylon Burks is to me is a coin flip. However you want to look at it. Josh, biggest trap. Derrick Henry.
Big whiff.
Big one. Ryan Traylon Burks, W. Yep, nailed it.
Clearly, I've learned that I hate rookies through these recaps because it's all I do.
Question for Stephania Bell. If there's one player you have on this team you need to leave your draft with, it's Derrick Henry. This is again why we don't listen to Josh. This is a common theme on the show. We don't need, Stephania just more solidified it, but I've been telling you from the
get-go. Again, it was, how are we feeling about the foot injury? Like that was really the big thing. I also, the way that I projected this team, I had, Hassan Haskins more involved. I had Dontrell Hilliard more involved. And I still ended up giving Henry 304 carries. Still wasn't enough.
Yeah.
If you guys want to
rode him, he was it.
That was my favorite part of the entire episode, though, because that was when Stephania busted out who Derrick Henry's doctor is, what he is great at.
Yeah.
And basically called his recovery to the week, if not the day. It was perfection.
She called out his doctor.
Oh, she knew exactly who the doctor was, knew like who had worked with this doctor in the past. And we're not talking like James Andrews. This was like a specialty foot doctor, but he had worked with Henry at Alabama, knew who else he had worked with. She called all of it perfectly. It was when I knew Josh and I were in over our heads. We're like, oh, this is what professionalism is. This
is what it's like to get paid to literally be an investigative reporter.
No offense to every other guest that we've ever worked with. You've all been great. You're all miles below Stephania Bell. So.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
And we're about 5 miles below Stephania Bell.
All we can do is thank Faith for making the pool because my goodness. So,
and we just got to get Laura on now after. Ryan Tannehill, player she was most avoiding.
She's a genius.
Yep.
she nailed these first 2 teams pretty well evenly. It's when we get to the Bucs, that's when. But hey, 2 out of 3 teams.
Did anyone get the Bucs though? Did anybody? Player 1 injury away from fantasy relevance, blank, because nobody.
I mean, we talked about different things on the show. I just didn't want to go back and rewatch because I didn't have much time.
Biggest sleeper, Nick Westbrook-Akine, and I'd say because he's literally free at the ADP of 130. So technically a W.
I mean, he beat his ADP, I'm sure.
He beat his ADP, so W, right? When you think about it. That's hey, we're only taking wins here. Crystal ball still working right now.
Yeah.
I call it a win if you want. He literally was projected probably like 2 points by every fantasy analyst. So yes, it's a W. My ADP stash. Now that's a true fucking W. Jeffrey Simmons is one of the most underrated defensive tackles in the NFL. That man is a beast.
Ass off this year. That team would have been so much worse than they already were.
Ryan, they were the 30th ranked defense in the NFL.
Yep.
Number 1 rush defense.
They were?
Yep. They were better than San Francisco statistically.
They were the worst pass defense in the NFL. Yep. Oh my God, they were so bad. A big part of that run. Jeffrey Simmons takes up 7 offensive linemen, and there's only 5 on the field.
I mean, that's literally why when the Eagles played them, they said, we're not going to run the football. They threw for 380 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yes, because they don't have a secondary. Hell, Kevin Byard sucks. Like, what have I been telling you? Tennessee defense is so bad. Oh, Simmons is literally the only bright spot there. And I was hoping G would comment this because this is classic Tony. I think it's just a cramp, Jim. Dak's ankle is currently facing the opposite direction. It's literally, how do you say it's a cramp? And his ankle is supposed to be facing north, and it's currently facing.
How did he not get fired right after that?
It's facing southeast. That's not how an ankle is supposed to look.
That's a Texas cramp.
Tony Romo, MD. Biggest hit, Josh. You were fairly close on Bobby Trees with his targets. You were way off on his yards per reception.
Oh my God.
5 points
off. He was worse than a possession receiver. Dude had like 8 point something yards per catch.
He was barely a receiver. Let's be real here. Tannehill, Ryan, you were right on that. Tannehill is trash. Nailed it. Pretty close on the Henry yardage and touchdowns. Gave him 45 too many touches. Still only missed by 20 fantasy points. Josh, you overprojected everyone, likely due to Tannehill's injury. Thought the Titans would give more run to Henry's backups. Ryan, you gave Bobby Trees far too much production, missed by 80 fantasy points.
That wasn't that one of my words.
Is it okay to blame Stephania Bell?
Stephania we said she was right on everything, and I would politely remind her she was very wrong about Robert Trees going into that show because she had me convinced he was going to be fine.
I mean, to be fair, when we were talking with her, it was more about Bobby Trees recovering from the ACL, and less about how he would function in this offense.
That's
because
fair.
This passing offense was dysfunctional,
awful,
so bad.
I'm looking at the Bucs, and I make myself laugh when I read back what the hell I wrote about these sleepers. It's because I know that I said that like 100% that like Josh didn't even make that fucking shit up.
Oh
like,
no, I
100% said
it,
and it's going to be funny when we get to it. Okay, player with the most fantasy upside. Nobody. Josh, you had Rachaad White.
I mean, to be fair, he finished top 36 overall.
He did. He had some good games.
And he outplayed his ADP. So
he did, yeah.
But
Ryan Cameron Brate.
The mindset was though that Fournette would get hurt. Rachaad White would be his start. Yeah.
Ryan, I was there with you on Cameron Brate. I was there with you. So I drafted Cameron Brate as like that because I wait on tight ends. Like, oh, Cam Brate, Albert Okuwegbanam. Nope, no, I missed on both of them. So I was there. Biggest trap, Chris Godwin. Nope. Slot receivers, Tom Brady offense.
We definitely did not. Well, the thing was the injury recovery.
Yep.
I think I had projected him for like 106 targets. Because I initially had him higher.
We projected him to miss
those.
Take
a while to come back.
We projected him to pup, and I don't think we ever pivoted fast enough.
Yeah.
Nope.
Stefania, one player you have to leave your draft with, Mike Evans. I mean, despite the shitty weeks he had here and there,
he won you a championship. That's all I got to say.
He did.
That's why I didn't put a W or an L. I said, I'm just going to put the points here, and that's that. So
yes, because I mean, again, you say, oh, you have to leave your draft with the wide receiver 17. Yeah, but when the wide receiver 17 is Mike Evans, and you're probably drafting him as your wide receiver 1, it might be a disappointment for you. Yeah, it's an issue. Player most avoiding, Leonard Fournette. Nope.
Good honor.
That was one thing she did talk about was the fluctuation in his weight
fluctuation,
constantly up, down. Like at a certain point, it's going to come back and bite him. I mean, he obviously got hurt and missed a game or two in the middle of the season and was a little sluggish at certain points, but they just kept throwing him passes, and it kept, that's why he finished as a top 12 running back.
So. I'd say it boosted his fantasy production. I don't give a fuck if you say he's a top 12 running back, which is genuinely surprising to me. Nobody, you can't tell me one fantasy manager was happy to have Leonard Fournette on their fantasy.
Not at all.
No,
not at all.
I think the thing with Fournette is, he was having like double and triple whoppers, in the off season, but then he didn't
realize that you were supposed to choose in that commercial.
No. I think
the big thing was he saw all the offensive linemen get hurt and retire, so he said, "Well, I got to bulk up and be one too." So
no, he didn't realize that he could eat like a king who's on a budget with 3 tasty options, fries, drinks, and nuggets, and it was all for $5. And he was like, "Wait, that can't be right." And then he did. He confirmed that was right price. Where was it at, Ryan?
PK.
That one I'll pat myself on the back for. That was
good. I knew Josh was stepping. I knew exactly what he was stepping on, and I so badly wanted to be like, "Shut the fuck up, Josh, and let this man work." He's getting us that Burger King sponsorship.
This guy right here. Yeah. Don't ask me how many times I've ate there. Joe's biggest sleeper. It's not a lot. Joe's biggest sleeper based on current ADP, Rachaad White. So, and my reasoning, everybody, just in case you're wondering, is I don't know. Maybe this guy won't drop passes or fumble or be 700 pounds. That was my analysis on Rachaad White. So you're welcome for being correct. Yeah, junior, double, triple whopper. All of that.
All of them.
He was having all of them.
6 patties.
Six fucking patties. Leonard Fournette looks like a 6 patty kind of guy.
Yes, I bet he is.
Oh yeah. But yeah, Rachaad White W. Akeem Hicks. No, like that wasn't really a win. He was good.
I mean, outside of the linebackers, did you really want anybody on this defense?
I barely fucking wanted Devin White at points.
I was just gonna say, and the linebackers actually did not play up to their own standards.
Devin White, the first month of the season, holy God, he looked like Devin White again. but then he started getting a little low. Levante David had a great football year. Fantasy football wise, he did not. Levante David had a great football year. Akeem Hicks also had a good football year, but he's older. He was a body to fill space and take up 2 offensive linemen, which he can do because he's giant. So, but yeah, from a fantasy perspective, no, Akeem Hicks wasn't really great. I said, he plays with Vita, Shaq, David, and Devin White. You got to think he's going to have something at some point. But Devin White also learning he is not very good at reading blocks and plugging holes on run defense. He's just really fucking fast.
He's a bullet. Exactly.
And his pass defense is good, and he can blitz the quarterback. But yeah, he needs work on reading run gaps. He's tough there. Biggest hit, Josh, you're only 5 rush attempts off on a team total, 22 off on Godwin, despite massively underprojecting his totals. Ryan, you were almost perfect with Mike Evans. Thank God for week 17. Called him at 126 targets, and basically almost even again on his stats there. Missed 2 games. Points per game was only off by 0.2. Josh, you had biggest miss. The team was with 17 rushing touchdowns. They had 5. Brady missed on Brady.
I had to throw this one in because I figured you'd get a good laugh at this one.
This is hilarious. You projected Brady for 55 rushing yards. He had -1.
What caught this because I had the rush attempts exact. I think he had finished with like 22. But yeah, negative or 29, I think it was.
You had Brady
29 attempts for -1 yard for the season. Interesting.
You had Brady at 670 pass attempts, and you were still 63 attempts shy of what he ended with.
Yeah.
You gave Evans 7 more touchdowns than he had. Big whiff on the tight end involvement. Ryan, you overprojected the running backs and thought Cameron Brate would break out. Underprojected Godwin on his return from his injury.
Yeah.
All around, just a terrible season for the Bucs.
Big whiff.
Big whiff. Green Bay Packers. This is another tough one. Most fantasy upside. Josh, A.J. Dillon. You and the whole world.
Yeah, no shit.
Terrible. Ryan, Allen Lazard. Boom. Nailed it. Wide receiver 3. Nobody was drafting him any higher, I don't believe. I mean, Packers fans might have been drafting him as their wide receiver 2, if they were crazy. But wide receiver 34, solidly consistent year from what it felt like. Biggest trap.
Was it though? Were you really happy starting Allen Lazard in any week? I mean,
no.
But this is why I didn't, because my trap was Lazard. And I didn't put a W or.
Hold on now. Wasn't this? I know it's been such a long fucking season. This was the season where Lazard scored like 4 touchdowns in 5 games to start the season. So you were happy you drafted him. You just had to cut bait at the right time. So
that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Josh, biggest trap, Lazard, and we'll call that a wash. Ryan, Robert Tonyan. Yep. Definitely.
The tight end hater.
Tight end hater. Questions for Hutch. There's one player in the team you have to leave a draft with. It's A.J. Dillon. No, you do not. You actually you didn't want to leave anywhere with A.J. Dillon. No, you didn't. And Elixir brings a point. Christian Watson occurred halfway through the season. So, player most avoiding, Aaron Rodgers. Facts. W. Under the radar player you think people are sleeping on, Randall Cobb. Well, Hutch, you're a moron. Let me tell you. Right? You're an idiot. Who in their right mind would put Randall Cobb as a sleeper? Jeez.
To be fair, the fantasy world was playing Russian roulette with who would be the Packers wide receiver 1. And Hutch swung big, missed big.
Listen, I don't know what idiot would put Randall Cobb as their sleeper. Right? So let's not even talk about who my sleeper
Well, let's also not forget that I don't even know if I should bring this up, but a certain fantasy analyst said that if Randall Cobb was the Packers wide receiver 1, he would quit fantasy. So we were all rooting for Randall Cobb to be the wide receiver 1.
Well, he wasn't.
That off air.
Yeah, he wasn't. So Hutch and I were wrong.
Yes, we'll just leave it at that. In the fantasy world, mourns your loss.
Yeah.
I mean, in fairness, if Cobb doesn't miss those games that he missed in the middle of the season, I mean,
who knows?
We could very well be talking about that.
No, shut up. No, don't even give me hope that I was even remotely correct being right. No, wrong. IDP stash Devondre Campbell. It felt more like Quay Walker. It's just, Campbell had a solid year. I don't know. Green Bay's defense was they just felt bleh. But like they were like top 10 in the NFL, which I don't understand.
When I was projecting my defense and special teams, they were one of the teams that kept coming up that I was under projecting them rankings wise. And I just was never as high on them as like the consensus was. And I mean, they were defense of 11, but I can't say for sure, but I swear they were a top 8 projected defense, and I never understood it. And I just couldn't get on board with it. So
it's tough. All right. Biggest hits. Josh, you're off on Lazard by 7.21 points off with Robert Tonyan. A.J. Dillon exactly at his targets and rushing touchdowns. You had Jones Dillon exactly at the combined rushing attempts. Excuse me. Only 1 point off on Cobb. Ryan, you're almost perfect on Aaron Jones. Usage and fantasy points still gave A.J. Dillon too much work. Was damn close on the wide receiver targets. Were you happy if you had Aaron Jones? Because he was an RB1, I'm pretty sure.
He was boring.
Yeah, he finished his RB10, I think, or 9.
Yeah, but he was a bleh.
I feel like he did all his in a span of work as well, though.
Well, he had his week 2 game that he always has for 50 fantasy points, so that helped. But
I don't know. My biggest miss, I feel like, with Aaron Jones was the over projection on the receiving numbers. And that's ultimately why I was a little more down on him as a runner, because I thought he would lead this team in targets. That's what I thought. I had him at 98 targets.
Aaron Jones,
I was going to say, how bad did you miss? Because he did pretty well.
Well, he projected out as like my RB4. Like
well,
I
how many targets
very high on Aaron Jones.
You
so
said
like
98?
him finishing an RB9 was a big disappointment for me.
It just feels like I'm sorry, Matt LaFleur. Maybe you should, utilize your best weapon and not put A.J. Dillon in there so much for no reason. Again, I'm just a bystander that's saying throw the football to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins more often. But what the fuck do I know, right? What the fuck do I know?
You just play Madden, right?
I just sit here and say, maybe don't let Travis Kelce beat you. Like, maybe double team him.
It's such an interesting trend that I projected Jones's passing work a little bit too high as well, but I projected so many more of the carry. I had the running back split perfectly, just to the wrong players.
Well, and that's where I was at too. Like I literally had the 399 combined attempts. I just had the 200 plus going more to Dillon, and then Jones coming in under because he was going to be more involved in the passing.
I just checked. Dillon even had 8 third down targets. Like, what are you doing? Why isn't that Aaron Jones should have been out there the entire time if he could have been. So.
I mean, can you imagine having Marcus Kemp as the wide receiver 2 that you're facing and still not double covering Travis Kelce? God, couldn't have been my defensive scheme. Also, Lou Anarumo did have a good defensive game. Like he's fantastic, but dumbass, double cover Travis Kelce. Like, let Marcus Kemp beat you. Don't let Travis Kelce beat you. Biggest misses, Josh, you missed on the Watson ascension, didn't we all? You overestimated Jones' passing game usage. Ryan, you did great here. Just far too many touchdowns. I feel like that's just a common theme for you.
Yeah. Well, especially with this team.
Yeah. Okay. Player with the most fantasy upside. Josh, for the 49ers. Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver 15 overall. Fantastic year for him. Ryan, told you when this happened. You did. Idiot. Elijah Mitchell. You idiot.
It gets worse.
You want to know who's not RB2 according to Pro Football Focus? Elijah Mitchell. You want to know who is? Jordan Mason.
I picked the wrong 49ers running
Jordan Mason. Jordan running into the kicker Mason. Okay.
You and I will forever disagree on Elijah Mitchell's talent. You are 100% right on the kid can't stay on the field. Plain and simple. So
it's almost like it's a common theme of San Francisco 49er running backs.
Yeah.
And quarterbacks at this point.
Yeah. Biggest trap, Josh. Debo. Yeah. I mean, after what last
Josh
year
killed
was and where he was being drafted.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. Ryan, George Kittle.
Nope. I hate tight ends.
Nope. Question for Hutch. If there's one player on this team you have to leave your draft with, it's Trey Lance.
Ouch.
But he did give a shout out.
Ayuk was his honorable mention, so I'll give him that. But yeah.
Oh. Player most avoiding, Elijah Mitchell.
There you go.
Good job, Hutch. What is the under the radar play you think people are sleeping on that could have some fantasy relevance there? Tyrion Davis Price. Price, Prince. Does it fucking matter? It says big L next to his name. Does it matter?
Big old L.
Yeah, big fat L.
We got to stop following the draft capital with these running backs that Shanahan drafts because they never fucking work out.
Shit.
No.
Take it the other way. Whoever they have latest.
Whoever they get later. Yeah.
Okay. I did well on my picks, just for reference. So the sleeper, and this was 100% just to, give an ode to my brother, Jeff Wilson. He had startable weeks for both teams he was on. So let me tell you, I literally said this is solely for my brother, and the fact Wilson knows the system better than any running back there. Mitchell is not the solidified RB1, and Wilson is literally free.
Oh.
He was so free that Miami just traded for him.
Exactly. For free.
My IDP stash, again, not a stash, but if you had Nick Bosa this year, you were pretty fucking happy.
You're ecstatic.
Sack leader. So the right call would have been Talanoa Hufanga, because
oh shit, what a season he
that
had.
dude popped off.
I don't know anybody that had him there. But yeah, Hufanga, literally the new Troy Polamalu at this point with how he looks. So yeah, shout out him. Biggest hit, Josh, even with the Lance injury. Geez, you had the team split. You had the team splits close in terms of pass and rushing. Wide receiver 1 with 114 targets just for Samuel, not Ayuk. 14 points off on Ayuk and 3 points shy of Kittle. Ryan, you only missed Ayuk by 3. Had him at 116 targets. He had 114. You were pretty close in all the projections as well. Yep. Josh, biggest miss. Kittle's touchdowns. The following Tyrion Davis, he's Prince now. Tyrion Davis, Prince's draft
Let's
price.
just call him Prince. Just Prince.
Prince.
TDP. Just keep it simple, Joe.
TDP. It should be TP because you're wiping your ass with that pick.
Yeah.
Like Shanahan hasn't fooled us with this before. Ryan, the entire running back situation and Kittle scoring touchdowns, plus Debo turning into a pumpkin.
I was looking at the running back stats, like with McCaffrey over there. He had 159 rush attempts, which led San Francisco. I did my projections, and I had Mitchell with 179. So just kind of like how everything was laid out, I'm like, all right, this isn't half bad.
So you had the RB1, right? We just didn't quite know who it was going to be.
And,
certainly didn't think it was going to be Christian McCaffrey.
No.
Yeah.
All right. One of the two teams in this year's Super Bowl, the Kansas City Chiefs. Player with the most fantasy upside, Josh, Mecole Hardman. Fun fact, he averaged more points per game than Juju Smith-Schuster.
That was fun to read in the show sheet because I know you both hate Mecole.
I had to put that because
I hate
Mecole, Juju.
But I hate Juju equally. So exactly. I like seeing that stat.
I was shocked to see Mecole there for Josh because me and Josh have been fighting about him the whole time. So
yeah, but this is the thing. When I initially did my projections, I had Hardman as the leading receiver. But the more as the preseason kind of kept going on, I'm like, all right, I slowly started moving Juju up. But I had Mecole as the 2 in this offense at 81 targets. Of course, him getting hurt really dropped him down.
Yeah.
But MVS was second among wide receivers with 81 targets. So I was kind of right on line with how everything shook out from that. But.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a W on Mecole Hardman just for the fact that he scored more than Juju Smith-Schuster.
That is impressive. Like I said, I'm shocked. That was my favorite thing to read on the show sheet today.
They really got him, and they gave him the touchdowns that I think many people probably assumed, and myself included, that would have gone to Juju.
I did not. Juju should have not scored any touchdowns this year is what should have happened.
Well, I agree.
Listen,
but you get 114 targets, you expect to score more than 3.
Yeah, do you though? When you're Jackson Mahomes?
Unless you're Deontay Johnson, apparently. So
yeah. Deontay Johnson, but I have it's funny. If you multiply Deontay Johnson's receptions by a million, he still would have the same amount of touchdowns, which is 0. So
stop throwing shade at my boy.
I love Deontay.
I know I started it, but still.
Yeah. Mecole Hardman is definitely an L, but he's a W on this show. Yeah. For this specific scenario, he's a W. Ryan Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Bitch. No. Sorry, I watched. I I've been watching Key and Peele. No, the draft capital. Yeah. I've been watching Key and Peele, and they did their bitch skit.
Gotta look around.
Bitch. Yeah, it's funny. Biggest trap, Josh, Juju Smith-Schuster. Ryan, literally every wide receiver. I don't even care how cheap. If there's one player you have to leave your draft with, well, Hutch said it's Juju Smith-Schuster. And if the player he's most avoiding, he said Travis Kelce.
And I remember this part of the show too, because this was when Trowbridge was able to finally pop on the show with us.
Yep.
And he agreed that we were fading Kelce, and that's when we dropped them from the street.
Both of them. Yep, absolutely.
And then his under the radar player, Ronald Jones.
Ouch.
It's all right, Hutch. We still like you.
Tough. Biggest sleeper.
However, not listen to any Kansas City Chiefs advice you give in the future.
Biggest sleeper, Sky Moore.
Oops.
Good job, Joe. Nailed that one. My reasoning, I don't know. Give me a reason why not. Apparently, there was like 7, and they were all fumbles. So I still said the weapons in this offense suck. So, yeah.
I just want to bring it up. I asked Iowa Michael from Destination Devi on our Monday show about, is Sky Moore a buy? And he emphatically said, stay as far away from Sky Moore as you possibly can. And he brought up Marcus Kemp.
Yep. IDP stash. George Karlaftis, massive hit on that one. He had a fantastic rookie season. And then, haha, Josh, you're funny. This team will finish last in the AFC West, and I would put money on that right now. Now, my reasoning, the Chargers are chokers. That stands true. I said the Chargers would finish second in the division, and they would finish with 10 or 11 wins. That one I nailed. The rest of the division can go kick fucking rocks, because what the hell? I said Chiefs would finish last with 9 or 10 wins. They would lose a tiebreaker to the Raiders.
I mean, to be fair, everybody was wrong about this division.
100%.
I didn't see too many people who said the Chiefs were going to win the division. You had me saying all 4 teams were going to make the playoffs. Like, it was a tragedy of a division.
Yeah, it was a tough division. But again, I do want to say that I had pedigree with that, because I said bet the Chiefs under 12.5 wins in 2021. So it was right. So, I came in very high on that. Came in very high. There was no bet anywhere for betting the Chiefs not making the playoffs. So congratulations, you didn't lose money. But
that's good. I can do that at my casino. I can't do that, I don't think, on any of the apps. So
yeah, you cannot. You could bet anything at your local casino.
I can.
You can literally bet anything. Biggest hit, Josh, again, pretty damn close on the team splits. Missed Kelce by 2 points, missed MVS by 4 points. Pronounce his name right, or he's not answering your question, Mr. Marquez. Literally predicted 5K and 40 for quarterback 1 Mahomes to start the season. Almost perfect on all 3 receivers. Not off by more than 1 points per game on all of them. Basically called MVS stat line perfectly. So remember we were talking like, oh god, who's gonna be the best receiver on this team? Weird. Kind of seemed like it was that guy that I was saying, you probably shouldn't draft Mecole Hardman. You probably shouldn't draft Juju Smith-Schuster. You're just like, if you're going to take a chance, maybe we should draft Marquez Valdes-Scantling.
I don't think there's any story you can paint that says that technically Marquez Valdes-Scantling was the best wide receiver on this team.
He had 81 targets on the year.
Who was one of 2 receivers to finish the game on Sunday?
Joe, he played one more game than Juju and scored 60 fewer fantasy points. He wasn't the one. He was the 4th option.
Yeah.
Who was healthy?
Okay, you win. I'm sorry.
Nailed it. Biggest miss. Josh actually giving Ronald Jones any fantasy points. Yep. The RB splits were missed. Yeah. But what would have been with CEH been healthy? Ryan, I thought CEH would be Jerick McKinnon. False. Jerick McKinnon was Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah.
All right. The final 2. Cincinnati Bengals. Most fantasy upside, Josh. T. Higgins. You say L, take out the 2 left early games, and he's over 18 points per game. He's wide receiver 20 in points per game.
Yeah, he would have shot up to like wide receiver 7. Like those 2 games that he left early, where they should have just left him out instead of coming in and, leaving after like 3 snaps. If he just sits on the bench those 2 games, you're talking about a top 8 fantasy receiver this year in points per game. But I'll take my L because I had this guy as like, top 13, and obviously he did not finish there. So
I have a lot of reconciliation I need to do with T. Higgins this offseason because I have soured tremendously on him. And I know, Joe, you're an enormous fan. Josh, you've talked him up, and even Michael was very, very big on him on Monday. I need to go back and I guess just watch some T. Higgins to convince myself he is this wide receiver 1 stuck opposite another wide receiver 1, because I'm getting major wide receiver 2 vibes out of him right now.
What's worrying me now, like when you look at this season, they started hyper targeting Jamar Chase instead of spreading the ball around. And that's where, like, when I was writing up the How to Fix the Bears article that you can find on clubfantasyffl.com, as a reason why the Bears could potentially call Cincinnati for a trade for T. Higgins is because this is a notoriously cheap franchise. They're going to allocate the funds to pay Joe Burrow. They're going to allocate the funds to pay Jamar Chase. That's going to leave T. Higgins on the outside looking in. They're not going to pay all 3.
Sounds like they better keep spending money on offensive line.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I would like T. Higgins as a Patriots fan. I would very much like T. Higgins. So
I would be very shocked, though, if they tried to pull the trade for a younger wide receiver. It always seems like Bill goes for the veterans. That's why I think DeAndre Hopkins makes a lot.
This is going to sound like a dumb question, and I'm willing to get yelled at here. You two being both T. Higgins guys. Do you go back?
Yes.
And take Penei Sewell and have T. Higgins be your alpha and not have Jamar Chase on this team?
As good as T. Higgins is, Jamar Chase is better. There's no question for me.
And so that's kind of where I thought you would go with this. So, okay.
They made a Super Bowl with a bullshit offensive line. So, no. Yeah, no, I would not. I think T. Higgins is a W. I had him on my team, and I was happy to have him on my team, but I understand.
I was happy for half the year. I had him in a standard league, so that.
But I feel like you could say that about like every wide receiver too, though. If they're like, a top 20 option for like 9 games out of the year, you're pretty fucking stoked because you're gonna get some low points out of that throughout most of it. But I'm just saying, I took the L here, and I'm calling it an L because he did not hit his ADP. He did not hit what I thought he would hit.
Yeah. And I was just wrong about that.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. Ryan, Tyler Boyd outplayed his ADP.
It doesn't matter. That's an L.
Yeah,
there was
L.
no, unless you're in a 32-team league, you ain't happy about Tyler Boyd.
Players the biggest trap. Joe Mixon. He was RB7. Didn't feel like it. You were not happy if you had Joe Mixon. No,
I cannot
believe
these Joe Mixon and Leonard Fournette seasons are blowing my mind that
Joe
they finished
Mixon,
this high.
Joe Mixon had 1 Jamal Charles
55
game.
points, yeah.
There you go. Ryan, Joe Burrow, you were just wrong. So
no shit.
Joe Burrow. None of Chris Allen's answers are in here, but Chris Allen joined us. He was fantastic. Yeah. I feel pretty good about this sleeper in Hayden Hurst. And obviously, tight end 21 has nothing to write home about. But if Hayden Hurst has 1 more touchdown, he's tight end 7. So again, but 8.1 points per game. At a point in time, he was a lock for 5 catches for 40-something yards.
Yeah.
And he was free. And all of you laughed at me. They're like, Hayden Hurst, no.
And the one thing I like about a guy like Hurst is someone who streams tight ends or at least advises people when I don't have Kelsey, I stream them. But regardless, what I'm trying to say is Hurst was predictably good and predictably bad. It wasn't something where you felt like you needed to ride him the whole season. You knew when to start him. You knew when not to start him. And it went to script. And there is something so beautiful about that. Because, yeah, he's 8.1 points per game. But I bet if you took Hurst and just combined him with a stream and knew when to play, which was kind of easy, you could have got 13, 14 points a game out of your tight end pretty easy.
Yeah, and what obviously helped him and his overall season was the Jamar Chase injury, because that elevated him in the pecking order. Which
in those games, 100%. But even when both of them were healthy and on the field,
absolutely,
he was just consistent. 4 catches for 40, 50 yards.
And he kind of killed what Joe Mixon was in the red zone, to where Hurst was available way more than Mixon was, plain and simple.
I was really shocked to see Mixon with 75 targets this year.
Yeah.
That's really what kind of got me. I was like, whoo.
And again, this was all early season shit, though, because he was heartbreaking to end the year. So
something I noticed that CJ Uzomah just was relevant multiple times in 2021. And he was never relevant this season. Obviously, Tyler Conk on that offense in New York was tough, and injuries. But I don't understand. I didn't understand why people were shying away from Hurst as an option for people that don't draft tight ends early, because we saw how much Joe Burrow liked tight ends in college. Thaddeus Moss. He made CJ Uzomah relevant. Like, he likes throwing to big body tight ends. That's what Hayden Hurst is. So it was a little surprising to me that
Hurst is a friend of the fantasy Twitter community as well. So we
love Hurst. Yeah. Jesse Bates, how to fuck up your contract year, my guy. What the hell?
Shit. Maybe he should have held out the whole year like we were joking about.
Tough.
And the Bengals drafted his replacement anyway.
Yep.
So
he's
not going to resign.
And that's what I said. I think he's playing in his contract year to like go to a new team and get a giant contract, or they re-sign him. And since he's like, oh shit, this dude's really fucking
But you
good,
know what though? He's entering free agency. What is he, like 25, 26?
He's so young.
He's going to get paid no matter what.
He's going to get paid. And if he ends up in the correct system, he's going to be a candidate for comeback player of the year next year, because he is that damn good. So
he's so good. I think Jesse Bates is fantastic. Biggest hit, Josh, you're 4 short on Burrow's completions, only 4 targets, 3 receptions off for Chase. Ryan, you missed Burrow by 15 completions, 350 yards. His rushing touchdowns were a surprise, though.
Yeah.
Josh missed on Burrow's yards, in large part to Chase's injury, missed on the target share distribution, and didn't think Mixon would out-target him.
One thing I do want to point out, so like when you do projections, you start looking at, the history of the players and their yards per catch and things like that. I was so much higher on Higgins and Chase in their yards per reception, which inflated what Burrow ultimately had with his, total yards. And I was way down on Tyler Boyd, and Tyler Boyd actually exceeded both of them.
So it's almost like
I had Boyd as like a 10 catch guy, and he had like 13.9, I think.
Yeah. Higgins was at 13.9. Boyd was at 13.1.
Okay, Boyd was at 13.1. That's what it was.
But yeah, Chase with that volume, kind of. I know he
was down to 12 yards per reception.
Yep.
I had him projected at 17.1.
I had him at 16 and change. So.
Yeah.
Ryan, you projected way too much of a wide receiver split. 10 too many targets to Higgins, 20 too many to Boyd, 15 under on Chase, and not factoring in him missing 5 games.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he plays the whole season, I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up with like Justin Jefferson level targets.
Yeah, I'm 30, 40 targets off on Jamar Chase if he plays the whole season. So
tough.
Josh, you hit it on the head. We were not expecting this hyper targeting of Chase. And it's going to be really interesting to project this offense, assuming T. Higgins is back. It's going to be really interesting to project this offense next year, because do they go with a more balanced approach? Is Joe Mixon the running back? Because they're going to need money. I know they're. I don't know. I think they're actually in a pretty good cap situation. I may be misspeaking there.
Yeah, they're top 5 in available cap space. But again, this is a team that's notoriously cheap. They always, roll money over consistently, and they'll look to plug some holes in the offensive line. They'll look the defensive line to keep that strong. Like it's Joe Mixon better wear a mask to pick up his paychecks after what he played like this year. Like, I don't care what he's robbing right now. So.
All right. 2, last year's Super Bowl champions.
Like, my God.
The Los Angeles Rams. You may be thinking, Joe, did you say Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams?
No way.
Yeah, yes, I did. Okay. This is awful.
This is brutal.
This is bad. Player with the most fantasy upside, Josh, Darrell Henderson, cut. Ryan, Allen Robinson. Oops.
Some of these I didn't even put L's and W's. I'm just gonna have fun with it.
did you get a single upside right this entire show? It feels like you haven't.
That's a good question. You keep reading. I'll go look.
It feels like you haven't. Well, the biggest trap, I mean, you both nailed. Cam Akers. Nailed it. That one you nailed. So, pat on the back to everybody. Chris,
especially the way everybody was talking him up as a potential top 20 guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I was having top 10 fights. So
my biggest sleeper. I feel people are shying away after a bad season last year. Pass happy offense still allows people outside of Cup to be productive. Who's that person, you ask? Allen Robinson.
Oops.
Joe, you'll be happy to know that I got not one correct upside, though you tried to give me a victory on Allen Lazard. So I guess I have half an upside.
No, so you have not in this situation. No, in this situation, you have no one.
Yeah.
And this is like my PFF argument. When it's in my favor, it's good. When it's not, it's fucking horrible.
No, I went 0 for 8 on these teams.
So I wasn't misremembering. I was like, wow, I don't think Ryan has a single thing right.
Let's be fair. That completely jives with how we did upside downside this season, because my God, I was awful on the 3 up 3 or whatever we're calling it. I don't even know anymore.
Also fucking, there was 153 2-touchdown games this year, and you called none of them.
I still think I had at least one.
There's no way. Like physically, there's no way you had it right. Because I don't remember a week where I was like, oh my God, Ryan.
Well, get ready, bitch, because I'm bringing it back next year.
Every week I want you only predicting 2 touchdown games, and by the end of the season,
don't tell Ryan that. Now he's going to do it.
Well, because here's the thing: now I know who not to play.
There you go.
And I fully expect to see a 0 in 87 record by the end of the season.
We're gonna have like a running tally on Twitter.
I was gonna say we need to get a
graphic ready, Joe. That's what we need to do.
Instead of our upside downside, I will give you my stone cold lock for 2 touchdowns every single week. We can't call it that because there's like running themes with that, but we'll come up with something. So.
Oh, I love it. Okay. IDP stash. Bobby Wagner. This was the first year I felt like comfortable actually saying Bobby Wagner because he goes to a new team, obviously, and all of that. But I said it's him and Aaron Donald.
Most consistent player on that defense, in all
honesty. Easily the most consistent player. This is a guy who had a terrible fucking season. Jalen Ramsey, my goodness, he fall from whatever grace he was at, but he got cooked this whole season.
Yeah,
he was in on. I'll give him that. He was in on tackles, which is something you had really not seen previously in his career. But my Lord, he could not cover anything.
I wonder if that was just the season. I mean, look, I know you've been a big skeptic of Jalen Ramsey as a player, but obviously we know that he's played better than this.
Oh my God, yeah. This was.
I wonder if it's just the season in general that just like, because again, it's very similar to what we saw like in the conference championship NFC with the Eagles and 49ers, right? Elite defense, they wear down because they're just on the field too much. And the attitude just isn't there. And I'm wondering if that really had a lot to play into it for Jalen Ramsey.
Josh, from day one, he looked bad. Like game 1, he was getting cooked.
So my question is, based on just this tragedy of a season and how poorly that defense played, does Aaron Donald hang him up on a bad note like this and make it the greatest Hall of Fame class of our generation in 5 years from now? Or does he come back for
JJ Watt, Aaron Donald, Tom Brady?
Yeah.
When's the last time 2 defensive linemen of that caliber went into the Hall of Fame at the same time? Same time.
I'll be honest with you. I don't pay near as much attention to the NFL Hall of Fame voting because I feel like 15 people get in every year and it's just so hard to keep up.
Oh yeah, I'm actually
like with baseball. It's easier. There's like only one person got inducted this year, right? Some years there's
a threshold. There's a threshold.
I'm actually a big hater of the Hall of Fame that I think they put too many people in, and
100%
they do. The NFL they do because they have We have to put 6, 7, whatever it is. They have to put a set number of guys in each year. Some guys are like, really? He shouldn't be there. Should he?
I think they should have to kick somebody out to put somebody in.
Damn. Okay. Well, also, like, I'm sorry.
Relegation. They do it in soccer, right?
for baseball, Larry Walker, like, he's in the same room as Mickey Mantle and Babe Ruth.
That's what I'm saying. You get a lot of these guys with the Hall of Fame that, like, they had very good careers. They had solid careers. But, so, like,
you might even say great.
They're barely even footnotes in history.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, for me, the Hall of Fame in any sport, it's a museum. You're telling the story of what this sport 100%. Is. If you can tell that story without including that person's name, they don't belong in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
And I think that's something. Again, that's a great argument. Phillip Rivers. People always like, Phillip Rivers had a great career, and there's some like argue he should be in the Hall of Fame. He had a great career. He didn't have a Hall of Fame career.
I agree.
Nope.
And again, there's the biggest argument is always Eli Manning, because Eli Manning had 2 unbelievable playoff runs. But if you look at his career,
he wasn't even a great quarterback. He was a mediocre quarterback.
Mediocre quarterback.
Yeah.
He's the biggest anomaly of like, okay, is he going to get in? Fucking probably. But when you look at his career as a whole, outside of 2 seasons, it's like just flatlining, which is the tough argument there. So, yeah, I again, can you tell the story of the league without him, without Eli Manning? Probably not. Can you tell without Phillip Rivers? 100% you could. 100% you could. So, yeah, it's very hard. You can definitely tell the story of the MLB without Larry fucking Walker. So I'm just throwing that out there. Just throwing that out there. You know, you can't tell it without, I don't know, guys like Barry Bonds and Kurt Schilling and, guys, Pete Rose, guys that did PEDs or gambled and, should be in the Hall of Fame, but neither here nor there.
The one who got me into fights on Twitter, one of the first ones that I probably should. I don't think Edgerrin James belongs in the Hall of Fame, and that was the one where people were not.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah,
that's an interesting one.
Look, he's in my Hall of Fame.
Well, obviously,
Miami boy, I fucking love Edgerrin.
Here's what I'm going to throw out though.
Love Edgerrin James.
Here's where he won me. When I watched a behind the scenes thing where they were making his bust. And he made a really big deal that he was going to have braids on his bust. And there's like no black people with braids. And like, so to see that representation, he won me over completely with that. So while his play on the field, I'm all for what he stood for.
He's an elite running back in his time. Come on now.
So yes, it's just, dude, again, Larry Zonka, Gale Sayers, Walter Payton, Barry Sanders, Jim Brown. I'm sorry, Edgerrin James is just not that. He was a fantastic player, but like Adrian Peterson can be mentioned in the same sentence as Walter Payton.
And I struggled with Terrell Davis a few years before that because of
Davis was not a Hall of Famer. Not a Hall of Famer. Not at all.
Yeah, again, you just have.
I love Kevin.
I'm just here to say Nick Sirianni is a dude. Nice. Also, Scamper says you cannot tell the story of NFL mic'd up without Phillip Rivers. That's fact.
Fair enough.
That's clean trash talk. But again, you have guys where LaDainian Tomlinson, absolute fucking beat. Thurman Thomas, Marshall Faulk, Marcus Allen, Earl Campbell. I don't know. It's just, and again, there's a lot of names on here. They're like, okay, Fred Taylor.
Oh, yeah, that's another one.
Yeah, like Fred, like that. It just doesn't feel like a Hall of Fame name. A lot of these are older names, and I don't want to I don't know some of these names, but like John Riggins, Brian Mitchell, 100% those guys need to be in there.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, I don't know if I can make an argument against them.
No, those guys need to be in there. But like again, it just feels like new age guys. Like you're putting new age guys, Edgerrin James, LaDainian Tomlinson. I'll put Fred Taylor in that conversation. They weren't exactly the same time, but he's more new age.
Yeah.
again, like your pinnacle of that new
you're also
age
getting into the caliber of running backs that were used as receivers when they weren't back then.
Yeah.
And that was Edgerrin James was one of those, like, he was that new age running back that could catch passes out of the backfield
100%,
and still
100%.
put up 12, 13, 1,400 rushing yards on top of that.
100%. I'll say, because I've thought about this. Adrian Peterson could legitimately be a top 5 running back of all time.
I agree.
And like, I don't even think there is competition. He was the best running back of his time. I don't think there's a close competition there.
I agree.
So like, and I said that to him, like, we're like, when during his 2,000-yard season or something like that, we're watching one of the best running backs ever play the game right now. And currently in the NFL, there is nobody that even holds a torch to Adrian Peterson right now. It's not even close.
Bijan Robinson's coming up.
Hey, you want to Ricky Williams? I mean, there's Texas again. Talk about a dog shit program lately. They've been awful. If there's one consistent thing that you felt from Texas, just year after year, was like, okay, their running backs can do something. There was just that pedigree with them. Fucking Ricky Williams was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And yeah, hey, I think I like Bijan Robinson a lot. There's a very good chance I think Bijan Robinson is 100% in there. Okay. Spin it again, Josh, because no one wants the fucking prize. So no one wants it. Can I have it? Can I choose?
Don't worry. Well, as I mentioned,
it's going to get thinner and thinner.
Yeah, it's getting thinner and thinner, and I went hella thin on this one. So
here's the thing. Here's the thing, though.
You're talking 16 people on here now.
Here's the thing. Is Kevin in here? Is Kevin here? Because he just dished your head coach. So
actually, I know I didn't put Kevin in
out. Oh, perfect. Yeah. Fuck you, Kevin. There we go. All right. Spin the wheel. Spin the wheel. Spin it.
Oh,
he doesn't get it.
We're getting an answer on these names. No ifs, ands, and buts about it.
Oh, Rachel.
Oh, elixirs. It was so close. Elixirs. Just give the man one win. He had Damiere Byrd as his wide receiver too. Give him one win this year.
Well, Rachel will get to pick from 3. Who knows? I might spoil somebody. So we'll see.
All right.
No, Scampers, you made the good list.
You're
made
the good list.
You're on the good list. Yeah, you're on the show up list. You know who else shows up? Manscaped. I don't know. That was a good transition.
That was perfect.
Right? It was a great
Anytime
transition.
You need them.
Anytime you need them. Now for your face.
That's right.
Everything, literally again.
At that.
Literally everything. This is fun. This is definitely from somewhere, and it's from a movie, so I'm gonna take credit. But yeah, dick, balls, and face. That's like the
perfect.
Yeah, that's just the
Manscaped. Pop the logo up there.
Manscaped. Yeah. Code Club Fantasy 20% off and free shipping. How the fuck? Like, do they have to like just not watch the show, right? Because there's no way they're like, this
we send
guy.
Them clips. We pick and choose.
Oh, which one could you choose from? Like,
we did well early on, and Josh kills it on Mondays.
So. So yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, you don't want to send them any clips.
I actually have a script that I read, Joe. You should try that sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me read the script. I left off our 2020. There's no fucking script.
It's like, what is he reading?
Yeah. 500 subscriber giveaway. Re-spin outro. That's my script right now. That's my script.
I'll say what I always say, and that is easiest way to help the show and help yourself. If you need something great, we preach for the quality of their product. It's a great product. They now have something where you can shave your face with it. 20% off, free shipping. Easiest way to help us out. So.
Shave your hog.
Fantastic products. Absolutely fantastic.
Listen, I'm sure Josh did a good job, but there's no way he would have made the connection with Treylon Burks and shaving.
Oh, no, I don't do segues like that.
No.
That's not me.
No.
I segue.
I don't.
Josh.
I'm not. that I'm not creative on my feet. I'm creative when I can stop and think. Improv is not
a classic script writer.
Yes.
Spoken like a classic script writer.
Exactly.
Joshua Hudson. All right.
I got to edit your script tonight.
Oh, hooray. 4.
I got to fix the Rams because we spent so little time talking about them. So,
yeah, who cares?
Yeah,
exactly. We know they were bad.
Fuck the Rams. Fuck the Rams. For Josh, Ryan, Joe, Manscaped. You can follow Club Fantasy on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL is clubfantasyffl.com. The code Club Fantasy, 20% off, free shipping. Manscaped.com. Always remember, defense wins championships. Offense wins fantasy football. Josh raises his hand politely.
I didn't want to interrupt, but next week is our Super Bowl prop bet show.
I was getting there.
Yeah. We have a couple really awesome guests that are going to be coming on.
Yeah, and I was going to throw to you to tell me who the guests were. So...
Technically, I only have one confirmed.
We know who won it.
Very close on the other one, but there's a chance that we may not be at 7 next week. So that's what I
7. I thought you meant 7 people. I was like, holy
no.
I also was like, we wouldn't be at 7 people if we had 2 to this. 3 plus 2 is 5, Josh. Did you fail basic math?
No. I'm saying it's 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay.
Time might be different next week.
So just so everyone knows.
That's what I'm working to confirm. But what I will say is they both work at Yahoo Sports.
Lovely. So we can't even give the one that's confirmed?
Mark Drumheller. He's been on with us.
We don't need to guess who one of them is.
We know
okay. I just want to make sure. Marky Mark and the Fun Bunch. Hopefully the Fun Bunch comes, and Marky Mark is confirmed. So always every year, it's a lot of fun. It's just talking about dumb fucking prop bets, and it's always a good show. We'll give our Super Bowl predictions as well, but we'll see you there. Always remember, defense wins championships, offense wins fantasy football. We will see you next week.